Wait, what did he say?
Like, the PvP is not even rewarding.
Again, I feel like he's super jaded. If the PvP wasn't rewarding, this wouldn't have 1,000 hours playing the game, and he wouldn't be looping, or he wouldn't be showing this epic GVG that he had. Like, look at, he's literally showing the PvP on the screen right now. This shit is ass. So, this is an honest review of Throne and Liberty after 1,000 hours. Uh-oh. He does not look happy. He does not look very happy. And keep in mind, Talandre just launched. By the way, Talandre just came out. Like, the expansion just came out. It'd be crazy to be dooming already.
Alright guys, as the title of the video says, you know, after spending 1,000 hours playing Throne and Liberty, I'll be real, I've had enough. Right guys, it's time that we be honest with ourselves, but the game barely...
Shit game saved you an hour.
He makes it to mid status, right? It's like a 4.5 out of 10 at best.
Bro, this is every MMO player ever. You go to Steam, has 22,000 hours on BDO, does not recommend, shit game, you know what I mean? Saved you the time. Like, bro, you spent 1,000 hours on the game. You can't rate it a 4, bro. You don't play a 4 for 1,000 hours, okay? Be honest with yourself. I get it. Throne is shit in some aspects, no question. But you don't play shit for 1,000 hours. It's the truth.
Why? Well, let's get into it. Now, I'm going to start off with, like, the main positive, at least for me, right? And this is the reason why I've even bothered to play the game for as long as I did, right? I burnt out this game like a month or two ago, but I only really played because this was like the first MMO after a while that gave you that essence of community, right? And placed the importance of having that community, and like playing with Hands of Unity is probably like the best experience I've had in recent years.
There it is. Throne does two things super well: large scale PvP and forcing players to interact with each other and form bonds. Okay, because it does large scale PvP really well. Better than any MMO I have tried or played. It basically forces you into a guild and a community where you have to meet people and you form experiences with those people and you do content with those people. Because in order to truly experience the game, you got to get to know people and like jump in and like fight with people at conflict bosses and like do dungeons with people, and then do the large scale PvP, the boonstones, the riftstones, the siege, and all of that stuff, right? It forces you to come together and like meet people, and it's like this really cool thing. And I think a lot of people experience that for the first time. That's why I loved BDO's PvP so much for, and why I love BDO so much for, is BDO is not as good about forcing people to do it. But if you do it in BDO, the large scale PvP brings people together too. But in TNL, they basically force you into the large scale PvP, and they force you to PvP, and that forces you into a community. And like, you meet people, and you've some of the best gaming experiences you will ever have are when you're gaming with your friends in large scale PvP in an MMO like this. Like, dude, you're in there, you're all just dogging on them together, you know what I mean? Against all odds, you won, or you had some crazy strategy and it worked, you know what I mean? Like crazy plays, dude, like that kind of shit. It goes down in history. It's just insane, bro. It's just insane. Bro hiding from a raid that's locked the dungeon. What? Oh, TNL doesn't have lots of solo friendly content like BDO. Precisely. It's a lot of party content. Now that there are now solo dungeons that you run in Throne and Liberty. That is the thing now. But it's still like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's still like 80% of the game you got to play with another person, bro. The open world dungeons, the like even peace bosses encourage you got to party up with people for peace bosses to like do them, right? Like it just forces you to play with other people, and then you meet these cool people and you have these experiences that you never would have thought you had, and then you end up playing with these people in other games too because you formed a community. You know what I mean? There's like bonds there. It's great. And then all of those bonds are shattered when you meet an e-girl and you start chopping trees.
In playing an MMO, right? And that's where the positives end for me. Like, that's it. Now the part that everyone wants, the negatives. All right, let's start off with number one, right? The daily checklist of this game that we need to slog through is mind-numbingly bad, right? Like, the contracts that we have to do have had zero...
Oh, yeah. I said this on stream yesterday. I said the content that I hate in Throne the most, contracts. He's not wrong about this. Contracts are the worst thing ever. I don't even do them. I literally asked chat yesterday. I was like, chat, I don't have to do these, right? I just do my open world dungeons and then both of the other forms of dungeons and then just like do Rift and Boonstones and stuff and like still have all my gear, right? They're like, yeah, technically. And I was like, good. I'm never going to do another contract again. I hate contracts. They're terrible.
Variety in objectives that you got to do to complete them, like no matter what quest hub that you go to, right? And especially now once Talandre's come out,
dailies are dog shit. Yep, they're basically dailies. I hate them.
Oh, right, we only have one quest hub to go to anyway, right? At least at the base game you had 3 different areas where you could choose contracts, right? So you get a different scenery, right? That you can go to Kanina Village, I think it's called, something tower.
No, not even in the base game before Talandre came out. You just found a contract zone that you like to go to, and then you would just stay there and you would do all your contracts at that zone because you knew how to run them. They were comfortable, and you just speed ran them. And they were tedious. They're shitty, just ass content. Nobody likes that shit. But like, there's ways they could spice it up, like introducing open world PvP to it and other things. But like, yeah, contracts are just bad design. You can just remove it, and I would be happy.
Like Starlight Tower or something. I forgot the name. And Watcher's Post. You had those 3 areas where you could do contracts, but now you're stuck in Herba Village, and that's it, right? People are saying like I know they said that Talandre like was bigger than the base game, but in all honesty, like I feel like Talandre makes it feel so much smaller, right? I don't know if like
he's right. The actual like size of Talandre looks about the size of the main game, but because there's more ecosystems involved in the main game, and there's different, like in ecosystems you have different textures, you have different weather or like the biomes, you have different weather patterns, but like you have just different things going on and different things to do, and like things just look different. Talandre, it's beautiful, it's amazing, but like you have the mansion, and then you have like the nasty mud flat area, like the bog. You know what I mean? And then you've got like a couple other areas, but like it just doesn't feel like, he's not wrong. It doesn't feel like there's as much diversity, especially in the contract specifically. There's only really one area to go to. Are you still up? I never tire. It's impressive. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I'm kind of a machine this week. In the last 3 days, I've streamed 42 hours and counting. I will probably be at 45 hours in 3 days streaming. And I still work when I'm off stream because I have to work on YouTube projects. I have to answer comments. I have to manage sponsors and all that stuff. It's like I'm basically just I never stop working. I wake up, I start working, and I work until I go to sleep, and I can't work anymore. And then I wake up and then I keep doing it. And the reason is, I know that sounds like, oh my God, how can you do that? It's because my job is awesome. My job's great. I could stream for 14 hours and still have more energy than someone who worked an 8-hour shift at Walmart. Do you know how I know? Because I used to work at Walmart. I used to do those shit jobs. I used to be a research coordinator. I used to work at Walmart. I used to work at Disney on an internship there. I used to be a waiter and wait tables. I used to be a medical scribe. I used to do all these crazy other jobs. Those suck and they're draining. This is way easier. I don't give a what Hassan has to say about it. This is way easier, and I would way rather do this. So I'm willing to work for 20 out of the 24 hours in the day because it's fulfilling, super fun work. Johnny Sins, God, I hope I lose enough weight to become Johnny Sins. That'd be the compliment of a lifetime. I'm basically Johnny Sins without any of the muscles or pussy. But yeah, it's a fair comparison then.
You guys have felt that way too, but for me, like, Talandre is tiny, no? Like
it's not tiny. That's not fair. Talandre is big. I think that Talandre is a super fairly big. It's big. Like it's very cool. In my opinion, definitely one of the bigger expansion releases that I've seen for an MMO in terms of like size and stuff. I don't think you can harp on Talandre for that, in my opinion.
Does not give that sense of, yeah, this is a huge new area, right? Like, it's tiny. Like, all of this, I wouldn't mind if there was a story to it, right? Like, dailies aren't anything new in MMOs. Like, they've existed in World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, and all of that stuff. But at least in WoW, the dailies that you did, at least when I did it, like, which was all the way back in Wrath of the Lich King, you felt that, you know, doing dailies in Icecrown, right? It was like you're working towards defeating the Lich King, right? Like you were gathering resources and shit. You were killing the Scourge to weaken the Lich King's army. So there was that.
It's not a fair comparison at all. It's just not. You're comparing World of Warcraft, which is innately endgame PvE content with raids and like endgame dungeons and whatnot, to a game like Throne of Liberty, whose entire endgame premise and entire attraction as a game is PvP. Like I don't disagree with his frustration necessarily, but I disagree with this comparison for sure. Like this is where it's endgame PvP. We're not trying to fight the Lich King. The Lich King in TNL is Hand of Unity. The Lich King in TNL is Supple. You know what I mean? The Lich King in TNL is whoever owns that castle. You know what I mean? Like that's the Lich King. It's the next guild in the pecking order.
A story element to it that made it okay to do those
dailies in TNL are not PvP though. Yeah, see, like I said, I agree with the original premise that dailies are ass. Dailies are not super fun, right? And like contracts in this case are kind of being characterized as dailies, which they're the closest thing to it that we have. Sure, dungeons, you could say dungeons are too, but I'd say it's a little bit different. At least it encourages party content, and it's not just absolute ass to do. Doesn't feel like shit to do. The contracts are just single player content that's just really repetitive and doesn't really have any meaning other than just bloating your rewards, right? It's just annoying. And that's fair to say. But to compare it to World of Warcraft's dailies, but imagine a daily to kill 10 members of a hostile guild. Right, if there was a contract where you could pick it up and have to kill 10 members of a hostile guild or some shit. Okay, there we go. All right, now we're talking. Right, and then you got way more rewards for that. Like you got 5 times the reward for doing that one contract than you would have 5 contracts in PvE. Okay, there you go. That's better.
Certain Liberty is just like, yeah, go kill 10 pigs or 10 mutant gods.
Icecrown dailies are far worse than TNL contracts. Icecrown is what? WoW? Hey Blue, I've been grinding BDO really hard since coming back to the game in November. It's 7:31 and I'm starting to burn out. I'm looking for another MMO and I've never played TNL. Is it worth getting into as a new player? Should I go back to WoW? I need a BDO break. Well, if you really want to play with other people and like get into a community and like that's like what you want to play with, right? You want to meet other players, get into a community, and you want to fight other players on like large scale PvP. Yeah, you should play Throne, especially right now. But if you like if the part of BDO that you like so much is like the solo player aspect of BDO and like the sandboxiness of the game, then no, Throne of Liberty is not going to scratch that itch. It's not going to be super fun. WoW is probably a better adventure for you, in my opinion.
God dogs or whatever the like, okay, sure, surely there's a story behind it, but it's not compelling at all. It's not engaging. It's not interesting. It's just a chore that you have to do.
It's a chore
to get your blue stones so you can level up your armors.
I want to be clear. If Throne and Liberty had as good of combat as BDO or Lost Ark, we wouldn't give a shit about contracts. Would they be tedious? Sure. But the combat would make it like, hey, I kind of want to go out and I want to use my skills because my skills feel good. And I want to kill enemies because it feels good to use those skills on enemies. Because the combat in Throne and Liberty is dog shit, when you compare it to like the action combat system, making us go and do these daily like grind chores, it just doesn't feel very good. Like it just at all. You know what I mean? It's just ass.
That's literally it. And you're solid, I guess. My bad. I forgot about that one. Right? And then the daily PvE dungeons, right, that we have to do, especially the new dungeons in tier 2, they are laughably easy, right? Which is crazy since...
I like the new dungeons. I disagree with him here. I think that the T3 dungeons are fun. I also like the solo dungeons are challenging and fun too. I like doing them with randoms particularly because I can farm the randoms for content because they flame me all the time for not doing any damage as a healer or some other dumb shit. And I can make those into videos and stuff. Like, it's literally crazy. It's like, I've discovered dungeons recently. I'm like, bro, this is great. I can literally just queue up with randoms and they'll just flame me for shit. And then people can just see how miserable sometimes it is. But like, honestly, it's great content. And like, I love it. I love the dungeons. And I think they're challenging. I hope they keep coming out with more.
The 2-star dungeons were, in my opinion...
The 2-star dungeons so far, and again, I'm just trying this for the first time too. Yeah, they're whatever. Yeah, like, basically the same. I'm okay with them. They're just a little too easy now.
We're pretty good. They had
pretty
some
good, yeah.
element of challenge to it where if you didn't do it, you would wipe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet when they first came out, they were really, really hard. And like, again, so it's the same experience. So that's fun.
Right, but the new 3-star dungeons, I didn't even look up a guide and we one-shot the bosses.
Okay, okay, he's not wrong. I went in raw dog with randoms and cleared them on and cleared them basically on the first day. But they were still fun though, and I had a good time. And like, that's my gauge for whether or not the content was good. Was I having a great time with it? Would I enjoy doing it again? Yeah. The answer to both those questions were yes. I like the dungeons.
It's crazy to me, right? And the thing is, I know that they nerfed our version, right? But if they gave us the harder version, this
is a really cool looking riftstone, to be honest, or boonstone.
1,000 times be worse.
What is this?
Because the rewards that you got in these 3-stars are so bad. Because chances are, right? I think it was like an 84% chance that they would drop tier 1 gear that's been obsolete for the last 3 months. Like, imagine releasing a whole new expansion, bragging about 5 new dungeons, and then you get rewards that you've deleted for the last 3 months.
Okay, that's fair. I will say that the vast majority of gear that I have gotten for doing the tier 3 dungeons has basically been completely useless. Basically every dungeon, I'm just getting ass T1 gear that I'm gonna extract and maybe I can sell the trait. Otherwise I'm just gonna dissolve it. Like, it's total ass. Now, as far as like the challenge difficulty complaint goes, as somebody in chat so aptly pointed out, they can just up the difficulty with like the trials or whatever, which I'm not like opposed to. Or they could add like the mythic aspect of it, where like you can add like you can make the dungeon harder artificially, like kind of like World of Warcraft. You add like a mutation component to it that makes it harder, but you get better rewards for it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That could be fun. I would keep having fun with it.
Right. That is asinine behavior to me. Like, what the?
He's right. The loot shit is crazy. The loot is really, it's not very good.
And all of this is done by design to milk the players. Like, call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever the right? But all of this is done by design.
Oh, so this is a boss, bro.
To make players swipe, and especially the hardcore player base.
I have not gotten to do very many of the bosses yet. I just haven't had time. Like I said, I've been live fucking 45 hours the last 3 days. I just haven't had time to go to conflict bosses and stuff with the boys. It's like, I haven't gotten a chance to really experience the bosses yet for this expansion.
Right, which brings me on to my next point, which is swiping. Now, I know my very first...
So he's trying to make the point that like dungeons are intentionally low drop rate because it's going to milk the player base for money?
By design to make players swipe, and especially the hardcore player base, right? Which brings me on to my next point, which is swiping. Now, I know in my very first video, I said that it wasn't that bad because the later you start, the cheaper everything is, and whales aren't as impactful on their own, which is still true. I still stand by that. But the core progression of the game, the meaningful progression, which is getting new gear and trading it up, is best gained through swiping. And especially right now in tier 2 when these drop rates are so bad, right? So we have a guy in our guild, right? He was level 20 on every single weapon before tier 2 came out, right? So this guy plays the out of this game. He goes to Sorodoma every night to get extra dungeon runs, and he's told me that he hasn't gotten a single tier 2 drop in these dungeons.
But here's the thing, because he's played the game that much, he probably has a shitload of Lucent. Bro, if he really is playing the game that much, like he's got 850 global mastery, which is insane, by the way. If he's playing the game that much, that dude probably has a crazy amount of Lucent, which means he can just buy shit off the auction house where he needs to. From what? Homie, you get Lucent for playing the game. You just doing your dungeons, doing the open world stuff, selling stuff. Basically, you get drops, you sell stuff, right? And if you played that actively in T1, you got Lucent from Siege too, right? Lucent from all kinds of stuff. That's what people like about TNL and they hate about TNL is the pay to win, right? A player, it's a double-edged sword. A player can buy anything that they want basically in the game power-wise, with the exception of maybe runes and like artifacts, some of the artifacts, right? And mastery. But for the most part, like gear-wise, you just pay your way through. However, on the flip side, a free-to-play player can just play the shit out of the game, never have to spend a dime, and have every battle pass, have every skin, every amatoy, every weapon skin, everything that you can buy off the shop. They can just play shit in-game, do all of the in-game content, sell that shit on the auction house, and then buy everything they want off the cash shop. Okay? So it's a double-edged sword, right? And if he's playing the game that much, he probably has a load of Lucent laying around. And sure, he hasn't gotten a drop himself, but also he's probably in a guild, because he said he's in Hand of Unity. This guy's in a guild that does conflict bosses and wins arc bosses and all of that stuff. I guarantee you this is CNT2 loot. Okay? Guaranteed, because the guild is getting those drops and he can compete for those drops with that. Right? So even if he's not gonna, this is being a little bit disingenuous. Okay? I'm not disagreeing with the fact that the loot is really low. And he's saying they're milking the player base. I don't know. I would give them at least a little bit of... Is it pay to win trash? Of course it is. But also, I would give them at least a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. You see, if they make the loot too common, everyone immediately gets all the gear and nothing is worth anything on the market. And then if they make the loot really rare, they get accused of milking the player base and you have to grind a lot more and play the game more, which I know can be cumbersome. But I don't know. They're trying to strike that balance. I think they've done an okay job here. Yes, the loot on T3 seems underwhelming though. I would agree with them.
Like
T2 pouches give 90% T1 scrolls. Yeah, exactly. So I think, yeah, it's a delicate balance. Yeah, but they want to keep people playing the game longer because let's be honest, we've gotten all the content that Korea has. They're still working on the next expansion, bro. They got to have us playing this the next 3 or 4 months, because in 5 months, that's when we'll probably, in 3 to 5 months, that's when we'll probably get the next expansion for TNL. That's my guess. 3 to 5 months. And if we don't get it in the next 8 months, the game is going to be in a lot of trouble. In a lot of trouble. That's my personal opinion. That guy used to be a video partner.
RNG is RNG, sure, but that... You know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird sentiment to have, especially for an MMO. Because usually, right, the best time to play an MMO is when a new expansion drops or when new content comes, because you'll be playing with everyone, right? And everyone's going to be doing the same thing. But right now, for Throne and Liberty, it's not. It's actually in your best interest to not play the game at launch and just go shopping when everything goes on sale a month later.
That's true. That's true. And that goes back to my point earlier about, again, the game is pay to win garbage in that regard. So for me, I look at this, right, and I can't spend as much time as someone like he just described earlier, right? So to me, I'm like, okay, how am I going to get my bow? Well, I could try to grind the dungeons for hundreds of hours this month and try to really grind it out with like my guild and stuff, or I could just wait like 4 weeks and then buy it for like $5 worth of Lucent. You know, like that's what I'm gonna do. In terms of for like my weapons and stuff and my armor and stuff, I'm just stockpiling Lucent by playing the game right now, and I'm selling everything. I'm in full sell mode right now. I sell literally everything. When I get drops from dungeons and stuff, I lithograph it or I extract it, and then I sell it. And I sell everything right now. Because I know in a few weeks, that stuff is all going to be 1/10 of the price that it is right now. And then I just buy it all for like super cheap, and then I gear up really quickly. That's my plan. Mainly because the first time I did it, I tried to buy... I did a decent amount of pay to win when the game first came out because I was busy running a guild, and then I had a bunch of family stuff happen. So in order to keep up, I spent a decent amount of money on the game and played the out of it to try to stay ahead of the curve. I was at every single conflict boss for like 2 months. It was insane. I had alarms set, guys. I would sleep it was insane. And then like I had alarms set for like the guild events too, like the oh god, with the Lantern Festival. Oh my god, the Lantern Festival. Oh, gotta wake up. Like ding ding ding, like my phone's going off because I gotta get downstairs because I gotta get in so I can do the Lantern Festival. So annoying. Holy moly. But like I still ended up having to pay to win for some of my gear. This time I'm trying to be really smart about it. So like I'm just trying to stockpile as much Lucent as I can, and if I have to pay to win a little bit, sure. But I'm hoping that I don't have to do that at all. But we'll see. But like he's right. It's in your best interest to just chill, sell everything now, play the game minimally, and then wait a few weeks, and then just buy everything, right? What I always wanted to ask you about BDO, what's your opinion about the patch cycles every week? And do you think 2-week patches per patch, a small background fixes would be better for the game? No, I think that one of the things that BDO has always done very well is that they have weekly updates for the game. Every week, the players can expect something new on the global labs for the most part, and then something new on the current patch. Like having new patches every week, I think helps people stay involved in a long-term grindy game like BDO. It helps them stay engaged with the game for a much longer period of time. So no, that's actually something that I think they do very, very well. I think that Throne and Liberty actually does this really poorly, where like some weeks, you guys know this, in Throne and Liberty, dude, some of our patch notes are like 4 random bug fixes, and that's it. And then like maintenance will be 12 hours. Wait, what? Like, what the is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's annoying. I think if they had more consistent, meaningful patches in TNL with balance fixes and certain things in the game changing and whatnot, I think that the game would be better off.
Right? At that point, like, Throne and Liberty, for me, it's not a game. It's a shopping mall. Right? You wait for all the content to get unlocked. You wait for all the prices on the auction house for your trait and your gear, you know, to go down in price, which is, we can see it happening live right now. If you go into the auction house, like if you've looked at some items, they've dropped tremendously in price, right? And then you wait for your favorite content creator to tell you what build to make because the meta's been figured out, and then you just follow that. You save yourself the headache of figuring out a build. You save yourself Lucent because everything's cheap, and it's smooth sailing from there, right? Like,
what's wrong with that? Okay, the only thing wrong with, I mean, like, it's okay to go get a build from a content creator, right? And to like bide your time and wait for the market to be right, and then just buy your stuff cheaper. That's okay. I don't really see a problem with that necessarily. I do, however, worry for the longevity of the game in that, like, once you all have your gear, now what? Right? Like, that's, and the now what is PvP, right? So, like, there needs to be continued incentive to go out and PvP. But, like, I don't really think it's that necessarily that much of a problem for some people to want to buy their gear up front and get, like, spend a bunch of money on it, and then they have it a month before everyone else, and everyone else just waits a month, and then they don't have to spend $5,000 on the game or whatever, right? And then they can all get their gear too, and then the gear curve levels off, and then you can see who's competitive, right? That's okay, as long as everybody's continually encouraged to log in and play the game and interact with other players. It makes the whales pay up and gives free-to-play players a chance to catch up later on. Yeah, again, like that's, again, I don't see that as a problem. That's what I think. It's a double-edged sword, right? Free-to-play players need a chance to catch up too, and they do. That's why when I held the Best in Guild tournament, I didn't... Okay, as a content creator, it is in my best interest to hold the Best in Guild tournament right now. The Best in Guild T2 tournament for Throne and Liberty, for NA and EU, if I held them right now, I would get way better viewership, a ton of signups, and crazy amounts of following. However, it would be disingenuous from a community perspective because, let's be honest, it's just going to be Whale and Liberty. Okay? Like, not everybody has had a chance to get their gear, and the curve hasn't had a chance to level off yet. The dust hasn't settled quite yet. So, like, would I have a better time as a content creator? Absolutely. But the community doesn't benefit from it and nearly as much. As it was, I wait until everything dies down, the gear curve kind of levels off, and then we host tournaments like that for the community for tier 2, and then we all get to see again. When the hype for the game is kind of at a low point, we have something to log in and play for. Unironically, the purpose of those tournaments was to try to carry the TNL community through to Talandre. And we got here. We made it. And I got messages from a lot of people that were like, this tournament was my reason to come play the game, because otherwise I would have quit a long time ago. I'd have quit and just waited for Talandre. And that was good. That warmed my heart because that was the whole purpose. It was the whole purpose in the first place. It also was a better tournament as a result because it gave all the free-to-play players a chance to compete with the players that had spent 10 grand.
It's actually crazy. And with that being said, right, like the game...
Let me just say this. Hold on, where's this? Let me just say this. I have 1,300 hours and I cannot have enough of this game. I love it. Yeah, Throne and Liberty is a phenomenal game, mainly because the end game play loop is PvP. So if you love large-scale PvP, you're gonna play the shit out of TNL, right? There are aspects of the game like contracts that I can complain about, and the fact that dungeons aren't dropping as much loot as maybe I don't want. But like at the same time, siege, rifts, boons, open world PvP, the arena. Well, the arenas are like whatever. Some people love arenas. I'm like whatever. I'm indifferent to it. But like again, small scale PvP and GVGs and stuff like that. People love that shit. People love it. It is what it is. Now I will say that I haven't gotten a chance to do the new conflict bosses, but I'm telling you right now, those are going to tank. Forcing guilds to 1v1 every day, not the play. Not the play. I think that it's going to drive people away from doing conflict bosses, which is objectively bad in my opinion. But it'll take 2 or 3 months. It'll take 2 or 3 months. Give it time. It'll simmer down. It'll completely die. Just exactly what I said. Guilds do not want to 1v1 each other every single day. They already know that they're weaker than another guild, or they already know that they're stronger than another guild. They don't need it exercised on them 3 or 4 times a day in a 1v1 arena. Like for a conflict boss, you know what I mean? It's cooked. People were coping, it's good. Like, let them cope. They did the same thing with the new Node War thing in BDO. Again, I know PvP communities. PvP communities do not want to be put in their place repeatedly by the same guild every day. Imagine it, guys. You're all in PvP guilds, right? Because we all PvP. Imagine if you had to fight the guild that was just stronger than you 4 times a day, every day in a 1v1. Would that be fun? Maybe at first. And then you'd be like, well, why are we continuing to come back to this? You know what I mean? Like, we already know we're going to lose. So you just stop going. You just stop going. Right? I'd stop doing the content. Exactly. It's not a chore. That's not the right description. It just wouldn't be fun anymore. Right? But hear me out. Now picture the same content, but picture the same instance content, but instead of a 1v1 where guild number 1, who is the strongest, has to fight guild number 2, which is the second strongest. Okay, this sucks because guild 2 inevitably loses every time, right? And then guild 3 fights guild 4. Guild 5 fights guild 6, right? And ultimately what happens in this is that guild 6, they show up. Sometimes they have to fight 5. Sometimes they have to fight 4. But no matter what, 6 is losing, right? So what does 6 do? 6 stops coming. Then 5 ultimately becomes the weakest guild. Now they have to fight 3 or 4 every time they show up. And then they stop coming. And 4 stops coming. And then 3 stops coming. And so on down. It cannibalizes itself in this way. However, picture a game mode where it's a 2v2. Guilds 1 and 4 are placed against guilds 2 and 3. Now you have something dynamic. Now you have a reason for guild 4 to show up and actually play because they have 1 to help carry them. Right? Now you have a team fight where guilds can actually show up and fight each other. There's more strategy. It again gets guilds to communicate with each other and interact with one another in a fun way, right? And like work together toward a common goal of victory, right? Like that's what you want. So like if it was more like a team thing like this, where they like match made the guilds based on their rankings, which they're already doing, and they made it teams, I think that it would be much, much better than it is right now. The 1v1 shit is for the birds. We already get that on Rift and Boonstones. Guilds don't want to do that. Ultimately, what happens with Rift and Boonstones is everybody just sits on the one that they want. You fight a guild. If you're weaker than them, you go to the next best Boonstone. If you lose to them, you go to the next best Boonstone, and then you take that Boonstone and you sit on it until somebody challenges you. And if you're stronger than them, they go to the next one. If they're stronger than you, you go to the next one. Right? But ultimately, the dust ends up settling, and everybody just ends up with their Rift in their Boonstone, and then nobody's fighting anyone. It's the same thing. The conflict bosses are going to end up being the same thing, in my opinion. One guild versus one guild inside portals would be guild. Well, that's what we have right now. Right? If you play 5 hours a week and expect to win a castle, keep coping. Well, I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, that's my opinion on the I think it's slowly going to decline. It's going to take some time. See, but especially the top guilds are going to be like, yo, this system's awesome. You know why? Because they're always winning. I would love it too. I'm going to dumpster some noobs today. Woo! You know what I mean? People we know we can beat. Let's dump on them too. Sick. You know what I mean? Show Nation, exactly. Do you know who loved the new Node War system when it came out? Everybody in Show was like, oh, this is kind of fun. People have to fight us now. And then they ran around in T1s and gangbanged the entire scene repeatedly until nothing was left. Until no one was left. And the scene cannibalized itself. And it's not Cho's fault. It's the developers for making that system. It's the same thing in TNL. Of course, these higher end guilds are going to be, I like the instance that Blue Squadron will be right in 2 or 3 months. You could clip it now. That system's ass. It's going to cannibalize itself, and no one's going to want to do it. Everyone already is going to know who's stronger than who. The dust is going to settle, and nobody's going to want to go to that after a while. It'll be the same 5 or 6 guilds every time.
Its foundation is designed to milk.
I have 2,000 hours, and after this change, everyone I knew quit the hardcore side because there's no purpose in playing PvP, and the PvP leaders and the lead are led by scripters, so not even PvP event have much people. Well, I think that PvP events, I don't know. I haven't been to any of the conflict bosses. Do you know why I haven't been to the conflict bosses? For the exact reason that I mentioned here. I don't want to go for 1v1 people all the time. We're not in a super crazy competitive guild. We're not going to be able to beat we're not going to be in the top 5% of guilds, so it's not going to matter. We're just going to get dumpstered. Rift and Boonstones are fun. I'll shock all those. Siege is fun. I'll shock all that, right? And then open world can be fun because you can change stuff up there. But like at the end of the day, I know that system is cooked, man. I might give it a go, but we'll see, right?
Players, right? And with those things noted, let's say your class is good. For the time being, right? You followed your content creator saying,
dude decided to speak the truth. Well, thanks, buddy.
Oh yeah, this is what you build for this class. Boom, you do it. You pop off. You're doing great, right? After you spend like what? Let's say £40, which is like 2,800 lucent. That's enough to trade out your gear, or at least trade out enough to where you'll be impactful. And then what? You get hit with an
2,800 lucent is cheap. Again, you can get that by just playing the game regularly. Yeah, that's good prices.
Enough.
Bro.
So what do you do? Especially if you want to remain competitive, right? What do? You re-roll. And when you re-roll, depending on what you re-roll...
EU server prices, well, to put this in perspective on NA, 6K lucent is $100. So 2,800 lucent is like $40.
Depending on your class, you have to retrade the majority, if not all of your gear. So what does that mean? You have to spend more money.
No, bro, you have to play the game more so you can get more lucent so that you can get the other gear. They've even got the tag system in the game now. You don't have to spend more money. Again, his entire argument completely falls away when you mention the new tag system. And this point particularly, he's like, oh, you got to go spend a bunch of new money on new gear. No, you don't. You just tag. Tagging doesn't cover traits. That's fair, I guess. That's fair. If you want to redo your traits, sure, but that's cheap as though, right? Like, trading shit out is not super hard. Like, dude, like, trade out a piece of level 1 gear. That's all you really have to do, right? And then tag it to the other gear, right? Like,
why? Because you probably won't make Lucent.
I guess I actually haven't thought about it. Does the tagged gear have the exact same traits as the original, or does it have its own traits? It doesn't. So it has its own traits? Okay, so yeah, you would just trade it out yourself. It's only a few hundred Lucent, you know? Maybe a couple thousand Lucent, you know, whatever.
Because everything is unprofitable, right? We saw that at the end of tier 1, right? And yeah, if you wanna
still have to get the piece of gear, but that's not super hard. Things get cheap, as he said.
Stay competitive, you have to swipe. Sure, the sync system is nice, but the syncing system only copies the level of the armor, not the trait levels themselves, right? So sure, you're saving time because you don't have to grind more growth stones, but you still have to spend money to trade out the new set.
Yeah, he says money like it's US dollars, but again, Lucent is the in-game currency too. So yeah, you could spend dollars, or you could just play the game, get drops, and then sell it. You know? It is what it is.
Now you combine this with the abysmal drop rates.
Now I will say, to his credit, because I try to give people credit here. To his credit, I feel pressure as a player to spend money to get power in this game. I compare that to BDO, which is another pay-to-win Korean MMO. I don't feel any urge to spend money to get, and I don't think that new players are nearly as pressured in BDO to spend money to get gear score, especially early on, right? But in Throne and Liberty, I do feel pressured to spend money to he's right in that regard. The game pressures you pretty hard.
In these new 3-star dungeons, I mean, you have no choice but...
Lucent is money. There's no other way to get it. Somebody must have bought it with money. Yeah, but you don't have to buy it with money, though. Like, why is that even a problem? Like, because again, it's a marketplace. It's it's an entire ecosystem. I have 25k Lucent as a free to play. Yeah, because some whale, like again, right now, all of the whales are creating the economy that you will benefit off of for the next few months. They're hurling Lucent into the system right now. Okay, hurling it in. All right. Like crazy. And you as free-to-play players will soak that up.
To swipe, like you'll eventually cave in. Or you quit, which is what I'm doing.
Neon the Witch makes a good point. BDO has no endgame and no in-game currency. Or no in-game urgency to get more gear. And that also makes the need to spend money not as bad. Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
Right now, right? Like, sure, you can argue that it's
Throne
just the
has
start
urgency.
of the game, you know, new content just came out, and everything is going to be...
I did feel pressure and urgency when BDO had really, really competitive PvP. When I was in competitive PvP guilds, I did feel the urge to spend money in BDO.
Cheaper, but...
Never really did on pay-to-win stuff. But.
It's been out in Korea for a little over a year now, I think, and their population isn't doing too hot over there. So...
Yeah, but Koreans suck at MMOs, so I don't really care. Like, BDO's not doing well in Korea either. Nobody gives a shit. Koreans suck at MMOs. They're really good at most other games and video games in general, but they suck at PvP and MMOs. Throne and Liberty is a PvP MMO. What are we talking about?
I don't know. And then what happens when Tier 3 comes out? The whole cycle continues again. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like I said...
Good.
As a casual, it's easy. If you start late, it's easy because the meta is going to be figured out. Your content creator has told you what to build. You know, boom, you just do that. But like I said, if you're in a competitive guild, you know, you pretty much spend a decent amount of time theory crafting builds. I know, like, there's a couple degens in Hands of Unity that have spent, like, have stayed up all night theory crafting builds, right? One of them is playing one dagger.
That's what people love to do in TNL. That's another aspect of TNL that I think people really like. some people don't like how complex the gear system is. And for those people, like he just said, you just look up the gear guide for like, you just go to your favorite content creator, ask them what to build. They tell you, you follow it, done. Total system worked around. No big deal. No big deal. But for the people that really do like to theory craft shit, bro, let them do that. I think that's beautiful. I think that's amazing. It's something that I don't see in other MMOs.
Right now as well. And One Dagger is dog shit.
I like theory crafting too.
Theory crafting?
One Dagger isn't dog shit, bro. He's too. He's
down the toilet. So
that's crazy.
There you go. Like, in all honesty, the game just feels like an Excel sheet simulation, right? Like, you put shit down on the Excel sheet, you press go, and then you watch it.
You never seen RuneScape players play their game before? You ever seen an old school RuneScape players that playing? He's basically just playing an Excel spreadsheet. World of Warcraft, same shit. Trying to manipulate the market for shit. BDO's life skiller. Like, you ever seen a life skiller in their Excel spreadsheets? Holy shit, bro. Like Path of Exile, not an MMO, but also those people theory craft their builds all the time. They just sit there and they just theory craft. They just sit there, they run Excel, they just do this shit. It's fun. If you don't like that, that's a you problem. This is a Eve. True. Eve is another great example. If you don't want to theory craft, you can get around it by just doing what you said, right? But it's a system that's there for people that really do like to theory craft, because that's an integral part of a lot of why people like MMOs. The sense of adventure, the sense that these systems have a lot of depth to them. People like that. You can just circumvent all of that by looking up a guide, no big deal. Or you can dive into it and have as much fun with it as you want. That's the beauty of it.
Watch what it does.
Took your advice and I'm grinding in Histria. A lot better accessory drops. You're welcome. I got you, buddy.
Like that's what.
I don't know when I recommended that you do that, but
felt like playing this game. And the best thing is, skill expression in this game doesn't exist once you found someone, or like once you start fighting someone that's built to counter you.
That is true, and that is a problem with the game. But I think that a lot of people like that. I know that's frustrating for the top end of players, for like the top 1% of players. But guys, again, I've been in PvP guilds a long time. I know the perspective of a very top end, state-of-the-art, cutting-edge player, and then a new player that's trying to get into PvP. And if you make the skill ceiling too high in the game, then a new player feels too daunting to get involved in PvP. It's kind of hard to explain, but like a new player can look at it and be like, yeah, I'm just never going to be that good, so I don't even know why I would try. I just don't want to get shit on. But in a game like Throne and Liberty, a new player can be like, well, if I itemize correctly, he won't be able to kill me, and then I can have time to actually get good. And in a weird way, it actually, having like kind of a counter system for builds and having people build one way or another and allowing them to build different ways allows people to make PvP more approachable even for a new player, right? And that is fundamentally important for a PvP scene. It is. Yes, skill expression is important, but I do think that Throne has a strong enough skill expression that it's okay. Like overall, especially for large scale PvP. I feel pressure to just look up at a guide instead of trial and error while getting steamrolled by people who just follow a guide. MMO and maybe games. There's no exploration or finding things out, because if you do that, you're griefing yourself. That's not true at all. And I think that if you think that, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. A lot of my time in BDO was basically just wandering around, figuring shit out on my own, not looking up guides and just learning how to do stuff. Some of my best experience in the game and how to make money in the game were also found by doing that as well. When it comes to Throne and Liberty, maybe they might hard counter you in a guide, but like, you can follow a guide early, but here's the thing. Theory crafting is usually something that's reserved for somebody that understands the systems of the game super, super well, right? So if you're going to theory craft in a game, especially on builds and stuff for something like Throne and Liberty, you probably don't want to do that as a brand new player. Brand new players are probably just going to look up a guide and go with whatever's good. Once you start to understand the game and why your build is actually good against other builds, then you're like, well, wait, what if I did this? Now, that in conjunction with this skill, as you learn like the skills and how the mastery and how the builds interact with each other, that's when you start theory crafting with the game. Then you become the guide in a weird way. Then you become like the front edge of the meta. Those people that spend the time in the Discord calls, theory crafting their builds and doing all that stuff, they're the ones paving the road for the metagame of tomorrow. Okay, and those people love doing that. All right, to be clear, everyone else, they're just gonna be following the guides that the other people did the hard work for, and then they're gonna be right on to the next thing, right? So like, it's this crazy. In my opinion, it's super cool. I like it, and if I get super invested in a game, like for example, BDO, I know a lot about the systems in BDO. Theory crafting in that game is fun. In Throne and Liberty, I don't know quite as much about the build paths in TNL yet. Although that's my next big thing, is I'm starting to research all the different builds for every single class in the game. That way, when a new player comes into my chat, I can tell them, you should build this item for this reason. That's why I'm literally, I study in my free time. I'm literally looking at the items, I'm reading what they do, and I'm reading what people recommend and why, and trying to understand why they recommend those items. Like that way I can give competent advice to the next generation of players. Like that's my next thing. Yeah, even in the best guilds in the game, there's only like 3 or 4 people who set up the gear for everyone else in the guild, in my experience at least. Exactly. And so the system is super complicated for those people. For those 3 or 4 people. I didn't say it was a lot of people, but like, well, I mean, it can be a lot of people. A lot of people grind really hard to understand the system so that they can be those people at the cutting edge. You have 3 or 4 people in every guild, and there's hundreds of guilds. You're talking about hundreds of players, right? At the end of the day. So like, and it's fun. And I think it captures the imagination for a lot of people, you know? Isn't TNL classless? Not really. I mean, yes and no. It doesn't have like specific unique classes like World of Warcraft, right? But instead you equip 2 weapons and you are a certain class. I have a choose your class guide coming out like tomorrow or the next day for the game that will explain all of this if you want to look at it. But for the most part, you put on 2 weapons. It gives you specific skills for that class. And for those weapons, right? Like if you put on a wand dagger, you're going to use the wand skills and the dagger skills. If you put on a wand bow, you're going to use the wand skills and the bow skills, right? But you use many different combinations of those different skills, and you'll use them in different conjunctions with each other. And then they all have different passives as well, which all work differently with each other as well. So the classes don't feel as unique in Throne, and I do think that is one of the weak points of the game. However, the classes are unique enough that, yes, there are standalone classes that, like, a wand dagger is going to feel a lot different than a greatsword dagger. Like, way different. Those 2 classes are going to play wildly different than each other, even though they both have the dagger component, if that makes sense.
Like, I get, like, designing it that way makes it so that whales aren't extremely...
How many hours do you have in TNL Blue? I don't know, like 500 or 600.
Overpowered, right? But personally, it's boring, lazy, and uninspiring.
I have more hours making content for the game than I do have hours in the game. The hours it took me making the best in guild tournaments, the VOD reviews, the guides, the patch note rundowns, and everything else that I've covered for the game. Yeah, I have way more hours of that.
Inspired game design. That's my take on it.
Doesn't that mean the game is just not that fun? No, it means the game is super fun, but I'm a content creator, so I have to find interesting and entertaining ways to entertain my audience, right? I can't just sit there and play the game on stream. Okay, because watching the game is not a crazy amount of fun, right? Unless I make it fun, right? Like me doing my dungeons, that's fun to watch. Me shot calling large scale PvP, that's super fun to watch, right? Me doing VOD reviews, fun to watch. All of that stuff, like doing the tournaments, those are fun to watch. I have to be an entertainer. I have to entertain. Right?
I'm not a game designer, but as someone that plays games,
I wouldn't make content for the game if I thought the game was innately just bad. I wouldn't have invested, $10,000 into the game if I thought the game was bad.
That's
getting run down. Fun. Yep.
Shit. Like, now, does it help that I'm playing a dogshit class? Absolutely not. I know I put myself in this position.
What's he playing?
Like,
He's playing
I
Wand.
started hoping that this class would be good.
Oh,
like,
yes, he is playing Wand Dagger. Yeah, see, every Wand Dagger, like, oh, my class is shit. The class is good.
Not. So,
for those of you that don't know, Wand Dagger is a bomb class, primarily used to do as an engage tool for other players. You CC all of the players, and then everybody else comes in and just like blast them. You know what I mean? That's your job. You get the big playmaker. You get to be the playmaker. And if it doesn't work, it feels like shit. And when it works, you feel like, oh my God, it's like sex. You know what I mean? So it's very feast or famine. So I can understand how people who actually play the class absolutely have that perception of the class. Like, this class is just garbage, except for the times that it's not.
GG. Like, BD.
Can people just play what they like? You have to understand his perspective is from Hand of Unity. I have the privilege of understanding these guilds and where they are in the pecking order because I ran the Best in Guild tournament. So I know a lot about these guilds in EU, and I know a lot about these guilds in NA. Honestly, I'm very in touch with these a lot of these communities. That being said, Hand of Unity is one of the strongest guilds in EU. Very hardcore perspective of the game. You're looking at the top 1% of the 1%ers right here. Like, this guy has played more Throne and Liberty than me, you, and 4 other members of chat put together. It's just the truth. Okay. And so, yeah, he's going to be a little jaded on it, but he said he has 1,000 hours. I said I have 500 or 600. Like I said, I have a lot, but not as much as him. Minimum requirement for playtime was 30 hours a week. There it is. I've been in Hand of Unity since TNL launch. There it is. It's basically a part-time job, almost a full-time job.
Arguably has better balancing than TNL, because a good player can kill someone that's playing the better class, quote unquote, and is outgearing them. A good player can kill that player, right? But in TNL you can't. Like, bro, someone builds like what, 3k magic evasion, you're cooked, you're done.
Yeah, I already explained. It helps newer players get into the game in kind of a crazy way.
You're not touching that guy. No matter how dog shit that player is, you're done. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a world-class gamer, you're done. You're not hitting that guy. It's over. Alright, the time gating of content, particularly PvP, is another like big issue that I have with this game. Especially because like the PvP is not
What up, Slink? How you doing, buddy?
even rewarding. And
wait, what did he say?
Like, the PvP is not even rewarding.
And again, I feel like he's super jaded. If the PvP wasn't rewarding, this wouldn't have 1,000 hours playing the game, and he wouldn't be looping, or he wouldn't be showing this epic GVG that he had. Like, look at, he's literally showing the PvP on the screen right now. This shit is ass.
And
he's delusional? No, he's just really close to the situation. And I can understand, as somebody that has been really frustrated with MMOs before and how the devs treat it and where the game is at. You know, when you're really dialed in on something, you know, everything strikes a chord. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, he's very frustrated.
Of the PvP that you have in this game isn't even all that good. So the fact that it's time gated just makes it so much worse, because now you have to wait, what, like every other hour to do PvP, and it ends up being shit, right? Maybe I say this because I'm in like a strong guild and we kind of dominate a lot of these fights. But again, like the quality of the PvP in this game is just dog shit in general. And the fact that it's time gated just makes it miserable when you actually do it. Like,
Madison Wickerman, just watch my gear guide. I explain it on the gear guide. It's timestamped. Sorry, guys.
Especially in Dominion too, right? Like for the casual players that...
Like, again, you need to have a main hand and an awakening. Both need to be pen black stars. You need to have pen black stars in main and awakening. I don't care what else happens.
Just jump into Dominion every time. In my experience with Dominion, what happens is the other team usually leaves. Like, it's usually...
There it is.
Let's say red team is super dominant.
Yep.
That eventually the green team just leaves the world boss. And
there it is! Told you. I'm telling you, that's exactly how conflict bosses are going to be. Everybody's saying blue's wrong. No, it's a good system. F you, I know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Green's like, why the f are we even showing up for this? We're getting absolutely rolled. And they just leave.
And it just becomes a PvE free farm for the red team.
Yep.
Right? Like for the first, 10 minutes? it's going to be 99% red team.
Conflict boss is already like that in a lot of cases. God, I could stroke it. I could stroke it to that statement right there. I hate it that I'm right about that. I wish I was wrong. But somehow I know more about creating PvP systems in PvP games and in large-scale MMO games than developers do. It's because I've been in all of these ecosystems before. I've been in every one of these communities, whether it be the hardcore Giga Sweat rank 1 or rank 2 guild on a server, down to the new and returning player guilds and everything in between. And everything in between. Like, I understand these systems. I'm telling you, bro. I understand these leadership cores. I know their struggles. I know the individual player struggles. I've been there. I've been those people before. I've been those leadership people. I've been the players before. You just can't, like, this 1v1 conflict shit it's just not going to work, man.
And then Green's numbers just drop over time until they all leave.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, time gating for the content just to devolve into that is trash. Like, sure, you can argue that Nebula Island kind of increases the time that we have to PvP, but again,
it does. And that's like open world PvP is good. I think Nebula Island W.
Limited to only 5 hours a week, right? And with Nebula Island, you're going to be reintroduced.
Did you guys see that light? Hey, good fight, man.
Right? And
he just spawned in, bro. He literally just spawned in.
PvP, but again.
Okay, it's time to get back into it. Here we go, baby. All right. We're running back to the fight. Here we go.
With Nebula Island, you're going to be
good fight.
Introduced to the Zerging issue.
Pussy!
And if you're not in a dominant alliance, right? I'm going to assume that you're miserable in Nebula Island right now. And I say that as someone in a dominant alliance, right? So I feel for you casuals, bro.
Yep, I agree. And that's why alliances have to be removed from the game. It's not as much of a problem now. Nobody's really talking about it right now. But I stand by what I said. You have to break alliances up. Otherwise, even open world PvP, it's just a shit fest. It'll just be the dominant alliance rolling everyone. You have to split these alliances up, bro. Increase the guild cap to like 200 and remove alliances? No. No. Keep guilds at 70. Remove alliances. Done. In fact, no. You can keep alliances. Crazy thought. I've suggested this before. Maximum guild size. 70. Max alliance size. Also 70. That's right. You can have alliances with up to 4 guilds as long as the total number of players in each guild only makes it to 70. That's it. That way, you encourage people to basically either have one guild of 70, or if they want to be a not as hardcore guild of like 30 people, maybe they want to take it a little bit more casual, but they have some gamers, you know what I mean? Or whatever. They can ally with another 30 gamers and another 10 gamers, right? And to make a 70-man guild size. And they can compete with one of the max guild size of 70. The max guild size of 70, one-man guild, that's hard to run. It's hard to manage 70 people. I've managed 150 before. Actually, I've managed 150 before in like BDO. It's hard. I managed 140 in TNL. It's hard, bro. 70 is still really hard, right? They got their own issues. Like these people, the people that are like banding together their guilds, they got less inner guild problems and more, okay, well, we have to be able to work with these other groups of people, right? So like both groups of people have their own issues, but like ultimately it means that not everyone is being zerged. It also encourages guilds that maybe are just starting out. That gives them, like, they'd only have 20 or 30 people maybe, or even 15 people. It gives them an opportunity to kind of get involved in large-scale PvP and be able to compete against a normal guild, right? Like, that's just the way to go. Like, you encourage, like, small guild formation, and then the guilds work together in alliances and stuff. But, like, again, you need to decrease the maximum number that are allowed to work together at any particular area, because otherwise, it's always going to be a Zerg fest, but it's too one-sided. Right now, you have 240 people Zerging 15. Like, it's obnoxious. And in a 70 In a 70-man guild cap, you're going to have a maximum of what, like 30, 40 people zerging 20 and 20 and 20 and 10 and 5, right? Like, and so it's not going to feel nearly as bad.
Like, it's rough for you guys out here. Also,
I still don't know why they think Alliance is a good system because of Siege. They think that Alliances are a good system because of Siege. And solely because of Siege. And to be clear, they have balanced Siege perfectly around having Alliances. And they could technically keep Alliances for Siege and break them for the rest of the game. But like, let's be honest, that's not going to work. Those guilds will circle jerk each other and never fight each other in the open world if they know that they're going to work together for Siege. So that just won't work. So what they need to do is they need to make the castle defendable by one guild of 70 people. You do this by nerfing golems. You nerf golems and you make adjustments, maybe give them like a Hawacha or some shit to help defend the castle. Give them like siege weapons and shit. You know what I mean? Where you can get up on the ballista and just start blasting ass. You know what I mean? Like, make it so that 70 people can defend a castle against all of these other people. Right? See, you know the answer, right? Like, that's, of course, like that's my suggestion, because again, that solves the problem, in my opinion, and makes it a much better and healthier environment for all of the guilds. In my opinion.
Bear in mind, in Korea,
I first thought you said 70 guilds, so 4,900 people in an alliance. I was confused. You're good.
When Nebula Island released, I'm pretty sure it was like 7 to 8 hours every week. We got cut.
Give defenders a buff, something weaker than the destroyer buff. Yeah, defenders could have a buff on them too, right? Like, they could feel like Giga Chads walking around in the castle. You know, they already have like heavy attack and like heavy attack defense or whatever the it is, or like hit or some shit. I don't know what the other thing is, but one of them is heavy attack. But like, you can make that buff stronger too.
Down to 5.
You make it work.
And our reward for grinding Nebula is that we can buy 3 extra hours.
Winning the castle, is it worth it? If you do the math, it's so much Lucent that everybody wins. The more people, the less Lucent. Well, you need to understand, people don't do PvP because they get monetary rewards in PvP. Don't focus too hard on the rewards. The rewards you get for winning Siege is coming into Blue Squadron's stream afterward and bragging about it and showing your VOD and making the other team look like monkeys. Okay. And it's not just my stream. To be clear, that was just an example. But like, you get bragging rights, homie. Bragging rights. You're the ones that dominate the castle. We're the strongest guild here. You're all dog shit. That's what PvPers want more than anything else. At their core, their primal core, people that enjoy PvP are typically men. They're men like to compete with one another. We like to compete with one another and prove that we are stronger or we are better or we are faster than them at various activities, whether it's sports or gaming. This is just how it is. Okay? Like, we want to be better, and men want nothing better than to show everyone else how much better we are at this particular activity. Siege is one of those examples where it's just like, our dick is just bigger than yours. We can't even see your penises in this light. Pussies, you got farmed the entire time. People love that shit. That's why the Best in Guild tournament was a hit. People love that shit because they could flex their dick, man. That's what PvPers want to do. They want that stage where they can flex. Like, it's all about the flex. Doesn't really matter. The rewards, sure, the rewards are great. They're really just kind of there as cosmetic items. Do you think that anyone in my tournament really gave a shit about the $2,600 prize pool? No, I thought about removing it. They didn't care. They're the strongest guild in North America. They're the strongest guild in EU. Holy shit, your dick is massive. You know what I mean?
With the toy.
That's actually not true. You see, Russians, Matzos ruled the world for... Wait, what? Okay, I don't know what he's talking about, but it is true, and I'm right.
That we get in Nebula Island. Like, it's up that they're gimping the intended feature just so they can make us work to have
Not
it...
you, Blue? Oh, okay.
The way it was. The way it was supposed to be. You know, like...
By the way that they're playing this, I know that we haven't been giving much attention to what's going on in the background. I hate this. I hate this. One guild is very clearly dominant over the other guild, and they're not even hitting the boss. They're not even killing the boss. It's so annoying. They're literally, Hand of Unity is sitting here and just farming the other guild. Orca White, in this case. Hand of Unity is just sitting here ass farming Orca on repeat. Orca is not able to do anything. They're just getting absolutely farmed. And Orca's a strong guild, by the way. One of the strongest in EU. One of the very strongest organizations in EU. They're really strong in guild and BDO too, to be clear. A lot of BDO players in that guild. But like, homie, they're not as strong as Hand of Unity. I guarantee you they're pissed right now because they've been at this for what, 10 minutes? The thing's health has been gone down by like 3%. They keep resetting the boss intentionally. And the worst part is that if they get this low, Hand of Unity is actually hurting themselves because then that gives Orca the chance to swoop in and try to like get a big engage or like swoop in and try to get loot at the end. Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, I like conflict bosses and I don't like conflict bosses for this reason. If there was more than 2 guilds here, this would be kind of fun. It would be kind of fun. But because it's a 1v1, you basically have one guild hogging all the fun, and Orca eventually will just stop showing up to this kind of shit because they don't want to deal with this. You know what I mean? But if this was like, if this was a 2v2 and Orca had a chance of winning, I think that, again, this is a much more engaging situation.
Holy shit, man.
Yep, we like to farm. I get it. You act like I haven't been in this situation before.
You can also pay to win to buy more time in Nebula Island if you want more PvP or if you want to grind more, which is actually like doable right now. It's not as pay to win right now because if you do grind in Nebula, if you have the time to grind in Nebula, or if you manage to find a spot, you can make that Lucent back fairly easily, right? Like I know a couple guildmates have made like 2 to 3k for an hour. But again, we're in a dominant alliance. We can do that. So yeah, for the randoms that are just running around, I mean, there is the peace area as well, but from what I've heard, it's not as profitable. So yeah, and it's going to be congested. So I don't know, man. Nebula Island doesn't seem too good to me. But I'll never find out. I'm quitting the game. But yeah, speaking of shitty game designs, the map design in this game is atrocious, right? I've already made a video covering how they can improve this, but I doubt they'll ever listen. But the map design in this game, whether it's boss arenas, wargame boonstone maps, they are terrible, right? They're so lazy. I'm pretty sure, like,
I think that some of the riftstones are fun as shit and very well designed. But for the most part, he is very right about this. I think that he's right about this. There are some of the boonstones are the most cancer, dog shit, horrible design terrain you've ever seen in your life. I state for the record, Malachar, no one wants to fight on that. It's a meme. It's a meme. It's totally ass. And so is Excavator. Excavator is ass too, bro. That shit, you ever fought on that stone? That shit sucks, dude. That's so poorly designed, you can't get back to it, man. You just lose the first engage. GG. Move on, I guess. Because they just, like, I don't know. They just didn't think about it. Like, he's not wrong about that. I think the boss arenas, for the most part, are actually pretty good. At least, I haven't done any of the new ones. This boss arena actually looks pretty good, in my opinion. This one's fine. This one's good. Most of the boss arenas I fought in T1 were actually solid, doable. Like, the conflict bosses were workable. And believe me, I have more experience with that than almost anyone. Because, again, I went to every conflict boss for 2 months and had to shot call them. That requires an understanding of the arena and the boss that is transcends what normal players are going to experience. Okay, shot callers know more about that kind of thing, just innately, because you have to understand how to manipulate it. So, like, I think those arenas were okay, but I think particularly he's absolutely right for, like, Rift and Boonstones on the whole. Very, dude, they could have designed these way better, most of them. I had to ban Boonstones from my Best in Guild tournament, and I still had to ban 1 or 2 Riftstone maps too. And that wasn't just in war games. Bro, it's rough, dude. Kawazan Arena was stupid as Yep. Kawazan was a perfect example. Kawazan in war games, ironically, playable. Kawazan in open world, horrendous design. Holy shit. Lots of bushes and stones on the ground where my character would vault over them. Not even just that. It was just like the edges of the arena. And then because of how the boss mechanic worked, and then like it was really like, even when they made the arena bigger, I don't know if you thought about if you guys like have thought about this at all, but like it used to be even smaller than it is right now. Then they made it even bigger and it still wasn't big enough. It was still just too small to like group up on any one side. And like you're all coming from, oh, it's just annoying, bro. It's miserable.
Meeting like
this is why I hate the terrain. Why can't I hear this? Oh. Oh. Yo, nice flash wave, dumbass.
Why can't I get no fucking tag?
Bro, imagine missing a skill that is literally the width of a interstate. Okay?
Oh, you tree.
Yeah, okay. So that does happen. Particularly with Flash Wave. The terrain with it so hard. Yeah, I'm good. Bam! It just goes on.
I had that target and you went blip. Me.
That was pretty good. I like that.
Brief that they got sent was just like, okay, here's the point that you're gonna fight over. Draw a circle and put the spawn point somewhere on the perimeter of that circle.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think that Rift and Boonstones, the way that they really could improve PvP, especially for like Rift and Boonstones, is one, let it be team fights, right? Let team fights erupt at Rift and Boonstones. And two, make objectives to play for. Not just the one, like, oh, we're playing for the stone. Have people, like, I don't know, when you spawn in, you have like recovery towers or recovery centers, right? And stuff. And like if a guild kills your recovery centers, you take longer to spawn, right? So like there's like reasons to go kill guild structures and shit like that. And you have to kill their fort. BDO was kind of like this, but you don't want like the old school BDO system. You don't want that. You don't want like the super complicated. You want it to be relatively simple. You don't want like a crazy amount of objectives. You want like a team fight where there's like some objectives that you can play for as a team. So like the flag factory from BDO would be a good example. Allowing people to have like a spawn, like they can, in BDO, for those of you that don't know, the flag is a structure, like the flag factory is a structure that produces things that are called flags. And you would take these flags and you would place them out on the map and they would allow your guild to spawn there as long as the flag was alive. But the other guild could come and kill that structure and then you wouldn't be able to spawn there anymore. You'd have to go back and get another flag. The flags only spawn every like 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. That would be an interesting like concept for Throne and Liberty, right? That would be interesting because guilds could find interesting flag and res points to try to get flags down on. You know what I mean? It would create artificial points of contention and like objectives for guilds to fight over. There's definitely ways to make the system a little bit more complex. So that, well, without making it like overly so, to make it more interesting for players instead of just, oh, we have the stone or no, we don't have the stone, right? And again, you could introduce team fights to this as well. Like team fights are the next step, in my opinion, in the Throne and Liberty like evolution of large scale PvP. They need to introduce team fighting where guilds have to work together. Guilds that are not in an alliance need to work together to fight other guilds that are again working together but not in an alliance over a common objective, over trying to win. That would be fun as because again, it forces you to be in team speak with these other guilds. It creates drama. Oh, this guild is shit. They can't push or whatever. People fighting each other. It creates crazy dramas. And again, there's more strategy involved. Team fights are always just so much more fun.
Cool. That's literally
it already exists. It's called the Summon Stone. No. You're talking about a guild summon stone that is usable like once every rift stone, and it's like ass. Okay. Like it's this would be like a guild summon stone. Like let's say that this would be like a guild summon stone that was up 4 or 5 times and it lasted. Guild summon stones don't last. There's like a timer on them. Picture putting down a guild summon stone that was forever until the enemy guild killed it. That forces the enemy guild to respond to your summon stone, not just stand there and wait for it to despawn, right? Like, picture a guild summon stone that didn't despawn. So, boom, we put it in a good spot. And now we get to spawn here, and now we're going to win, right? Or, oh, they backdoored our summon stone, and they have a summon stone now. Now we're going to get, right? It's different.
Literally it. That's what they did to design these maps.
Out here working overtime? Homie, I've streamed 43 hours in the last 3 days. And that's just the live streaming. Not including YouTube, not including sponsorship stuff, not including all the other stuff.
Because it is so bad. Like, take Daigon, for example, right? Daigon introduced pigeon POV gameplay into the game.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Because Daigon has these walls where players like bows, staffs, whatever, they just AFK up there and wait.
And again, guys, the flag is just something that's like, or the summon is something that's like, that's just an example. But like, there are ways for them to add artificial objectives and team fighting to Throne and Liberty, which I think would be a lot of fun. You can keep Rift and Boonstones, but like inter-server, for example, could literally be team fighting. That would be much more fun, in my opinion. Like, team fighting would be a shitload of fun. You already see this in Siege, where like guilds that normally are supposed to hate each other have to team up to, let's say, take down a common enemy. It's fun.
For people or the boss to come close to the wall so
this is just AFK shooting from match range from a high ground. No. Well, that's kind of a poor... Guys, all a pigeon is in large-scale PvP is some person that's never had sex in their entire lives standing on a high ground and shitting on you. That's it. That's why we call them pigeons. They're virgins that don't know how to actually play the game. So they stand up on a high ground and they shit on you.
they can shoot you. And the funny thing is, right, the worst thing about this is that, let's say you respawn from point 3.
Really, they know how to play the game better than you and you're just mad.
Or point 2 or whatever, and you fly down to try and kill these pigeons, chances are you're gonna desync, and the game is gonna make you mantle on the jagged edges of the wall and completely fall off.
Yeah, look at this. This arena is actually kind of cool. You can come up and around, and you can come in through like a lot of different angles. Your bombers have different angles of approach. The boss is kind of sitting in a pit in the middle. There's clearly one directional path that you're supposed to walk through, but you don't have to.
Right, and you can't stop it. You can't stop the mantle system from making you fall off. So you get griefed to shit in this map. And for some reason, Daigon, everyone is just so desyncy in Daigon. I don't know what it is. Alright, so here, I flew down from point 3 to jump on this pigeon, right? And for some reason, I'm getting stunned.
Jump on this pigeon. Again, we've described it.
Right, you see that spinning thing that was falling off on the right? That was the...
Lamau gets killed by the pigeon. 1-0, pussy.
the tank that was stunning me. But in my screen, it was just the bow staff. And he finally pops in. After desyncing the whole time, CCing me.
Yeah, you're pissed.
Like, why is that in the game? And here's another one where I jump a healer, or I supposedly think I jump a healer, but he's actually not there. Right?
Alright, I have a hot take. I think that Throne's optimization, is there lag in Throne and Liberty? Of course. Is there desync like he's describing here? This is desync. Yeah. But I think it's way lower than any other game I have played with large scale PvP. Or just like a large amount of players in general. Whenever there's a shitload of players on the screen in any other game I've played, it does not run this well. It just doesn't. Not even in WoW do I see it running this well. Like, Throne does an exceptional job of running a lot of people on the screen at the same time. Guild Wars 2 never breaks. That's cap.
You see how the radial arrow
But I haven't tried it. But I would say that that's probably cap.
is pointing down, saying that he's there, and now it's up.
Oh, if you guys say it, I will believe you.
Right? You see it move.
But I haven't played Guild Wars 2 PvP quite yet. If you guys say that it's like this, then sure. But you can't deny that for the most part, the optimization and lag in TNL is pretty minimal, all things considered. Bro, you remember all like New World and like even like BDO, especially. Bro, I don't want to talk about BDO. Like any other MMO that we've seen with any sort of like small to large scale PvP with a bunch of people on the screen, dude, it just lags to shit.
Moving, he's gliding down to the wall on the other side of the map. But I could shadow step to him. Like, Why? Why is that a thing? Same thing.
Because it's lag, bro. Like of course there's gonna be lag. Like
With Pakilo and Naru, right? The respawn points here are trash, right? You have
True.
3 respawn points, but realistically you only use 2 and 3 because 1 is in bum Narnia, right? Which is a common design feature in this game. Like if you've ever played any Riftstones, right? Any Riftstone war games or anything at all,
True.
open your map, especially in the Talus Riftstone. Open your map,
Talus.
and you will.
Talus. Let's see. You can spot. Here's the Riftstone right here, guys. Here's Talus. This is the Riftstone right here. Here's spawn point 1. Here's spawn point 2. And here's spawn point 3. Which one are we gonna spawn at?
Understand what I'm talking about. Only 2 of these respawn points are ever viable, and
Cherno's the same
one
way,
of
bro.
them is just off in China somewhere. I don't know. Like I don't know who designed these maps, but they are so bad. It's crazy to me. Like all iterations of meaningful PvP in this game,
This is and this is what I'm talking about. I have not fought on this yet. I have not done this yet. But I'm telling you right now, I would take one look at this as a shot caller and I would say, this, I'm not coming back to this.
like all iterations.
Nope. You are never breaking this. It is never happening. It's high ground advantage here, high ground advantage here, the whole way up the choke. You're going to be CC'd. You're going to be blasted. It's going to be ass. It's going to be kind of a miserable push. The only thing that you can do to try to get up here, I don't know. Are there grapple points to approach this from like, maybe you could like have people fly from like across this high ground over here. If you can get up over there, like way on that tower on this right side over here, maybe. But like for the most part, you send your tanks up, then everybody else follows them, bro.
Iterations of meaningful PvP in this game
Steams are not working. Sick.
into
Yeah, I saw Morlin going up through like the Steam vents or whatever.
body throwing into a single capture point. There's no objective changes.
It's not, yeah, and it's also not a tactful way to do it because like you're just gonna get blown
only
away.
1 point.
Takes too long.
For
Yeah,
those
look at this shithole.
30 minutes to an hour.
You are
right?
look at this, bro. You got 30, like 10 people, and like 5 or 10 people. You're just getting fucking blasted.
I mean, I guess in war
and
games,
then
you
all
could go
the
up to, like,
tanks
15
trying to keep
minutes,
you from
whatever,
getting.
Who cares?
That was a good
But
shot. That was a play
there's no
right
objective
there.
change. That's it. You're
That
fighting
was
for that 1
good.
point the whole
He's still dead
time.
but you know that
And
was
the
good.
thing is, right, like the funny
No, it's
thing
all guild's done.
is that I feel like the final nail in the coffin. I know BDO changed their node wars so many times, like they changed the caps and all of that shit, and it got worse throughout the years. But
Is this guy a BDO player?
like, I feel like the final nail in the coffin was they changed the node war fight completely, right? It went.
Yup. Yes, sir. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Do not get me started. Yep. Don't worry. Nothing but bangers. If you know, you know. Nothing but bangers. Blue Squadron, correct again, by the way. I said they changed open world PvP. They changed a bunch of other shit. It's like karma systems in the game. No, like everyone doom and gloomed about that. Game didn't ultimately go downhill for PvP until they changed Node Wars and destroyed Node Wars. They obliterated Node Wars. Basically, guys, they made Node Wars a free-for-all system where there was no actual competition and any guild could kind of drop in and you're just everybody's fighting everybody and you're having a good time, and if you last with one of the forts, you get the rewards. Gee, if you take all of the competition out of a game mode, there's really no reason for PvPers to come do the game mode anymore, despite the fact that they're the best rewards in the game.
And from having multiple guild
Anyway, moving on.
bases and, you know, diplomatic chats
go
would
on about that
happen
for
where people
hours.
would form alliance temporarily for that node war, into a King of the Hill type game where you would have to last hit a tower to take control of it. And
Oh yeah, I forgot. The last hitting, that the RNG component of being able to take of being able to win. There was an RNG component to the whole thing too. So it was a free for all with RNG. It was wild, guys. It's still in the game. It's insane. This is why there is no PvP in BDO anymore. All the PvP guilds are gone.
you have to hold it until the timer runs out. and
It's
these
gone.
towers
They
would
killed
have
it.
like time limits to them. Some would be 15 minutes, some would be 20, some would be 45, some would be an hour, right? But the thing is,
I'm so glad I have alerts off. Get, you absolute freak. Please seek Jesus.
like, that King of the Hill game mode is literally Throne and Liberty's PvP in a fucking nutshell, right?
What?
And some of the war games that we're having now literally only last for 15 minutes as well. Like 15 minutes.
No, this is unfair. This is just like, this is, you are not, you came to the wrong guy. No, BDO's new Node War system, way worse than anything Throne has. You have no, you guys no, this is ass. Nope. He's like, well, this is some ways is worse. No, it is not. No, it is not. It's not even remotely close. Like, even this 1v1 dog shit system, still more workable than what BDO currently has going on. Okay? Do you know why BDO's Node War system is currently afloat? It's because they finally allowed you to pick the old Node War system. And we have never, like, everybody just picked the old Node War system every week. The community chooses the old Node War system instead of the new one. But now, again, when they gave the old Node War system back, they halved the amount of time in Node War. So now it's only an hour instead of 2 hours, which makes it unplayable. And so everybody quit. And so again, still not nearly as bad as BDO. The Rift and the Boonstones are way more fun than BDO's current new Node War system. It's just the truth. Could they be better? 100% agree with them. The maps are, like, the stones could be placed better and more well designed. The spawn points in war games could be better designed as well. Those are things that you can tweak, in my opinion. He's absolutely correct about that. They should get that right. They need to fix those. But, like, to compare it to BDO's new Node War system is, like, insane.
It's still half an hour. Like,
did you ever sleep? I watched you at 10 p.m., went to bed, you're still here at 12 a.m. No, I haven't slept yet.
guys, MMO players are in a shambles. We don't know what we want. Because why did we quit?
I know what PvPers want. I feel like I've been gaslighted into believing that I don't. Like, I feel like everybody's starting to understand that I do know what PvPers want, and I should probably design some of these systems, bro. Like, I swear to God, dude, if they just asked me, I would just tell them, oh yeah, no, you can't do that for this reason. Or yeah, you should do that for this reason. And then they don't even have to listen to me. They can just ask the community that, and the community will confirm that I am correct in a lot of cases for Throne and Liberty. It's very simple, right? Like this 1v1 system for the conflict bosses, it's ass. It's never going to work. I'm telling you right now. Some people are going to say it's going to work. I'm telling you it's not going to work. Give it a month or two.
One game just to play another whose main content is exactly the reason why we quit the previous game. We are so cooked. Holy.
I mean, that's not wrong. Why are we all playing Throne and Liberty? If you're a BDO player, why are you playing Throne and Liberty? Because BDO PvP is ass. Okay? And Throne and Liberty, although it's got worse combat, PvP systems are much better. They are. It's just the truth.
Holy shit. Like, say what you want about BDO, guys, but that game's combat had people running in circles for tens of thousands of hours for several years.
How did this video become about BDO? I'm confused. I didn't even know that this guy played BDO.
Downgraded. So bad. Holy. Like here with TNL, we have a decent buggy mess with so many.
Do you remember? Homie, do you remember? I feel like I'm not speaking with Pepperidge Farm right now. Do you mean to imply to me that Black Desert Online's large-scale PvP is not a buggy, laggy, desyncy disaster? Are you kidding me right now? There is just War of the Roses. What a joke! Dude, what a complete joke. Bro, was it TNL Andy a week ago? Now TNL's trash and BDO is a god. This is how these people are. Like, you know it. Like, we had somebody in my chat earlier today that, like, I had to ban because he he couldn't stop shutting up about how TNL is just this terrible game and how thank God he's finally playing a good game and it's not trash TNL, blah, blah, blah. He's like, thank God you're not playing a shit game anymore. And I'm like, yeah, well, I shit on your mom last night, so there's that too. She enjoyed it. You know, like, and then he got really upset, and then I had to ban him, and then he came back and he started hunting me in BDO today, so that I unbanned him, and then we had another talk, and he realized that he's mentally ill, so I banned him again. And again, this guy's entire existence was literally to try to tell me, Throne of Liberty bad, Throne of Liberty bad, stop playing Throne of Liberty, right? And then the Throne of Liberty players are the same way, but about BDO. BDO bad, stop playing BDO. Right? Well, at least they're the old BDO players that are playing Throne of Liberty are just like that. Jaded players that are like, fuck BDO, oh God. You know what I mean? It's like that. And then you have this crazy, like, and then you have my community, which is generally the reasonable Throne and Liberty players that probably haven't played BDO at all and are just like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a great game, but like, I like Throne and Liberty, right? And they're chilling. Right? They don't really care that I play BDO or I make content for that, but I watch my TNL content. Right? And then you have like my BDO community who, generally speaking, is okay with the fact that I make TNL content as long as I keep making BDO content. Right? But there are these crazy people that cannot believe that you could possibly ever enjoy both games at the same time for different reasons. I like the PvP in Throne of Liberty, particularly large scale PvP. And I like BDO for like, you know, like life skilling, PvE, RP, the women are super hot and I have to go into something content. You know what I mean?
Oversights that they have to spend patch after patch introducing fixes and 50 other bugs with that patch. And these fixes have...
I have to go into something. Who are you talking to right now? You want to look over my right shoulder or my left shoulder? Come on.
Existed in games that have been released over a decade ago. Like, what are we doing, guys? Holy shit. Okay, although it is the end of the Throne and Liberty arc, you know, the little community that we've built so far in the 3 months that I've been making content, you know, I've enjoyed interacting with all you guys in the comments, you know, whether it's having discussions or arguing with some of you. It's been a great time. Right, so with that being said, this isn't going to be the end of the channel, right? I do have plans to make content on other games in the future, primarily going to be MMOs. I do have my eyes on a couple, like Anvil Empires, which is basically Foxhole, but the medieval version. And I have some friends in Hands of Unity that are down to play it, and I'm trying to convince a couple more. So that could be fun, you know? We finally get to roleplay as medieval.
Hey, man. I think it's totally fine he's quitting Throne. We'll see you back next week. Am I right, boys? Same time next week?
Peasants, so it could be a great time. I am looking at other MMOs.
Same shit for BDO, bro. Same shit for BDO. People are like, I'm quitting BDO next week. Welcome back to my hardcore Iron Man series. You know, like it's
those two, like Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, which is like a super classic,
yeah, Siege is Sunday. I'll see you then.
Like EverQuest type MMORPG that has intrigued me. Like I said, I do like the community aspect of MMOs, and apparently that's like a big thing in that game. So that's something I'm looking.
Did he just? There's no stop.
MMORPG that has intrigued me. Like I said, I do like the play as medieval peasants. So it could be a great time. I am looking at other MMOs too, like Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, which.
Stop. Stop it. Stop it.
Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is a modern take on classic MMORPG. Really seeing any notification.
This game? This game. Throne and Liberty is ass. BDO is ass. But we're gonna go play this game? Are you crazy? What? Here's the deal. I feel like it's that meme with Arnold Schwarzenegger and whoever the black guy is in the Predator. Dylan, you son of a bitch. and then they join hands and it's like the Giga Chat handshake. Look, TNL community and the BDO community, they don't agree on much. But what we can agree on together, universally, is that Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is objectively worse than both of those games. I do not give a shit. There is not a single aspect of this game that is at all comparable to either Throne or BDO. I don't care. Both games went out either way. If it bleeds, we can kill it. True, Ashes, true. like every MMO could look at this and join that group handshake. That's what I'm saying, though. Guild Wars 2 is like, we're not sweating. You know what I mean? Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Oh, look at all of our things that we're going to compete with Guild Wars 2 on. Guild Wars 2 is like, yeah, we're quaking in our boots. Anyways.
Which is like a super classic EverQuest type MMORPG that has intrigued me. Like I said, I do like the community aspect of MMOs, and apparently that's like a big thing in that game. So that's something.
Community is a big aspect of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Every single time the developers have an issue, they can get all of their players into a single Discord call, because they're all in a group call together. They can just call them. And give feedback. It's a tight-knit little community. It's great.
Thing I'm looking at as well, I have also started playing Turtle WoW, which is a vanilla WoW private server with my girlfriend, just to kind of show her WoW. You know, that's something I've always wanted to do. But we're gonna do a very long play of that. You know, we're gonna take our time playing that game. I am also looking to potentially get back into BDO. I've realized.
And there it is. And there it is, bro. Oh my God, bro. I can't, dude. Stop it. Stop. Bro, you spent the last 1,000 hours of gameplay on TNL. Shit. You were shitting on BDO in this very video. I don't know. I might get back into it. Shit. I don't know. Oh, God, bro. That's so funny, bro. Like, again, it's funny to me because there's so many people from both communities. They just hate the other side. There's like the jaded BDO players playing Throne of Liberty. And then there's the BDO players that hate the BDO players for going to play Throne of Liberty. Right? Like for being disloyal to BDO, essentially, right? There's people on opposite sides of the fence, and here you see somebody that enjoys both games. He doesn't want to admit it. He's a doubter. He's in denial, but believe it or not, he enjoys Black Desert, and he enjoys Throne and Liberty. He just enjoys them for different reasons. And part of the reason he's calling Throne shit, remember those contracts he talked about? And how he said, man, we can grind for like 20,000 hours in some of these other games, and the contracts are ass? Exactly what I said, bro. There's certain aspects of Throne, like Throne's large-scale PvP and PvP in general, the systems are phenomenal. But when you compare like the daily combat loop to BDO, it's not even a comparison. BDO's a better game. It's not even a question. Like BDO's like daily like grind and play loop is way better because it's a sandbox. You can do life skilling, you can sail, you can PvE, like you do all kinds of stuff, except for maybe PvP, ironically. But like you can do all kinds of stuff and kind of get around it. But in TNL, you're kind of kept in a box in what you're able to do, and it's really frustrating. It's monotonous. It's tedious. We already went over it. But like again, they're good games for different reasons. He just hasn't fully accepted it yet. And I find it really funny that he's like, I don't know, I might try BDO again. Yes, sir, you will. Yes, sir, you will. Welcome back. You know what I mean? And when you get tired of BDO and you make that quitting video, welcome back to TNL, buddy. Like, welcome back in.
Is that farming shitty PvE content in Throne and Liberty is no different than running around in circles for hours on end.
It's very different. It is so much different. If you have played both games, you know. Grinding PvE content, like the contracts in Throne and Liberty, is miserable and unfun. In BDO, the combat makes the tens of thousands of hours that you spend killing mobs actually engaging, because you want to go out and use your Lan's skills. You want to go out and use your Awakening Nova's skills. You want to go out and use your character's skills in that combat. It feels satisfying to use the skills. It's just fun to do and like learn your class, you know what I mean? Like the movement, like master it. That's what people love about that. So although you might say you hate the grind, and we talk about we hate the grind all the time, the gameplay loop in BDO is just so far superior on a day-to-day basis because the combat is that much better. The problem is the systems that we use that combat on, particularly for PvP, have been destroyed. And so you look over at Throne and Liberty, and sure, the core gameplay loop is not as good because the combat at its core is not as strong. However, the gameplay systems, like the PvP systems, are far and away better. You look at the Siege for Throne and Liberty, you compare it to the Siege for BDO, it's not even a contest. Throne and Liberty Siege is the best large-scale content you'll get in the genre, period. Dot. It's well balanced, it's really solid. There's RP aspects, there's defenders aspects, it's super epic, it feels fun and engaging. Like, it's just cinema, absolute cinema, right? So like, again, there's aspects of both games that you enjoy, and there's aspects of both games that you don't like. I could go on all day about the shit I don't like about BDO, and I could go on all day about the shit I don't like about TNL too. But at the end of the day, I play and make content for both games because I like them. And he does too. He just don't want to say it.
In BDO?
Well balanced. There's like 5 meta builds. LOL. What, you mean in TNL? Not right now. What are you talking about, bro? You playing right now? Well, everybody's one-shotting each other because nobody knows what the f to build. What are you talking about? 5 meta builds. You know what's crazy? Even if there was only 5 meta builds, which there's not. Even if there was only 5, do you know how many builds there are in BDO? One. I'll take the 5. Sit down.
But the difference is BDO has amazing combat, so I might jump back on that. My old guild lead actually messaged me as well, you know, asking me to come back, so BDO could be the angles.
I told you, this dude's trying to with you. He tried to be like, yo, I might play Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. I might literally ingest horse shit. Or I could reinstall BDO. I don't know. You know, it's 50-50.
So, but yeah, with that said, let me know in the comments, guys, if you have quit, if you're still playing, you know, what keeps you playing. If you've quit, why did you leave? But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like, all of that stuff. Subscribe.
There's a 3% chance on Pantheon and 97% on BDO. Honestly, as someone that's enhanced a lot of reblath gear, we win these.
The channel, to everyone that followed me on twitch.tv/FaceAsmXO, I appreciate all of you, and to the people that subscribed or gifted.
I meant classes, not builds. My bad. Okay, so if you mean classes, not builds, BDO has way more classes than Throne and Liberty, but it's been out for a lot longer, so I don't really feel it's a fair comparison. They came out with Spear in the last year, and that's been great, right? But also, I don't think, okay, one thing that the BDO devs do well, and you do not hear Blue Squadron say this very often, one thing the BDO devs do really well is making classes. And Sick Loot said this in his video that we watched earlier today, but like, yeah, they do an exceptional job of making classes. World of Warcraft devs do an exceptional job of making classes and making them feel unique. I think that one of Throne and Liberty's weak points as a game is the class system, and the fact that each class doesn't necessarily feel super unique, like, you know, you're tied to that class. However, it does feel unique enough that I think that people are able to get super immersed with it. For example, you compare Wand Dagger to, I think my example earlier was Greatsword Dagger. Although they both use a dagger, they have wildly different play styles and will have much different positioning and like experiences in the game. So like, it is unique enough that I think that players really enjoy it. So
subs as well, I appreciate you so much too, because, you know, I've only been doing this for 3 months, and like in the first month I think I have like, what,
hello Laffy, what is Laffy here?
200 followers and like 25 subs, which is crazy, you know? Like, it makes me wonder, you know, what I can do with this like a year from now, which would be great. Like, if I could make content about games for a living, that'd be a dream come true. So,
same. Yep, it is. And that's why I've streamed over 45 hours in the last 3 days. Because my job is awesome. And anyone else in the world would love to do this job. So if you're going to do this job, you better work your ass off. You guys need to like this video. I'll be honest with you. Even if I disagree with some of the points in this video, I'm giving him a sub, I'm giving him a like. Mainly because he had some excellent points in this video. I disagreed at times, and I agreed at times. I thought it was funny by the end that he was a BDO player. That was really funny. I thought that was really funny. But you also got to see, you know, like the lens through a BDO player. Here's the link right here. You got to see Throne and Liberty through the lens of a player that hated BDO, that came to Throne and Liberty. Whether he likes to admit it or not, he really enjoys Throne and Liberty's large-scale content. He really enjoys its PvP. He played it for 1,000 hours, bro. That's a lot of Throne of Liberty. Because keep in mind, guys, BDO, it's all AFK hours. The majority of your hours in BDO are going to be AFK, so that it's massively inflated. But like, again, active hours, 1,000 active hours is a lot of playtime, right? And he really enjoyed it. And now he's probably going to slide back to BDO. And then when he hates that shit, he's going to go back to TNL again. And around the merry-go-round we go. I highly recommend subbing to him. Give him a thumbs up on the video. Like, comment, subscribe. This is a good video. I'm glad that we watched it. Somebody sent it to me.